I was off of Facebook.
Hello!
Hello, folks.
By Ronald Theriot from Louisiana Beer Reviews. We've got Boddington's. I've got the English variation.
Oh, boy. And I have the
American,
a lot different label design, right?
Yeah. And you've got the this is the drafter, 3.5. You've got the it's slightly higher ABV. Yours
4.6.
Yeah. Now I've just finished work and it's dinner time over where Jay is in Louisiana. So I'm eating my food and he's eating his.
Yeah. You have what are you eating?
Super noodles.
Come again?
Super noodles. It's like a cheap noodle dish for poor people.
Oh.
Because I'm poor.
I'm eating. Yeah, well, I'm eating fried chicken.
Oh no! It was just Jay was before we came online. He would just tell me what a bargain he got at his local eatery. Making me hungry.
Great deal. Okay, do you have churches in your country?
No. It's like this. Now,
whoa.
both here in the UK and in USA, as a widget. A widget is a small ball in the can to help
I'll be
you.
back. We had an overflow.
Oh.
Well,
Now,
it's a very lively beer.
Yeah. I was watching Beer Guy reviews all the way from Canada.
Yeah. They didn't like it too much.
No. They enjoyed it, but then rated it low. So.
Yeah. You noticed on Facebook I got into a bit of a controversy with one of your friends about Boddington.
Now, apparently, this is also classed as a dead beer. Now, I don't know. Me and Jay have had many beers, but I've never had a dead beer before. So if this is like a beer for zombies or that kind of stuff.
It's a what?
So this beer is a dead beer.
Oh yeah, he said it was a dead beer, and I couldn't understand what he meant. Oh, it's not.
So if any zombies out there watching, and you want a beer for you, is a dead beer. Well, anyway, on to taste.
Yeah, I think the point of contention was that he said that the recipe had been changed when it was bought by InBev, but he never could provide any sort of evidence. And I never said that he was wrong. I just said I need some evidence.
It's just difference of opinion.
If he could show me proof that InBev changed the recipe, I would say okay. But he just said it's true. Look it up. I said, wait a minute. You brought up the subject. Why don't you provide the evidence? No.
No, but it's like any brewer will tell you. If a beer has been brewed that way, that's the name of the beer, and they can't change the name of the beer unless they've changed the recipe. If the recipe is different, they have to change the name of the beer, which is I think you mentioned.
According to InBev, the recipe is the same since 1778. Now, InBev also bought out the Left beers from Belgium.
Which I've got a bottle here. This is the Leffe Roubaix, which I'm going to open up after we've had this beer because it's been a long day and I need a beer.
Yeah, now has Left been corrupted? Has Left's recipe been changed? I have never heard anyone say that.
Well, it's slightly sweeter than it was before, but a lot of breweries, even the smaller brewers, they add an extra sweetener into their canned and bottled products to make them last longer.
Yeah. Now, according to the website I was looking at last night, this beer contains these ingredients. Now, barley malt, hops, yeast, and grains. And I would presume that the grains would be maize.
Yeah.
In the United States, they're sort of strict. Like you can't, if you have an additive, you have to state it on the label. Like Foster's Ale. There's a beer sold in America called Foster's Ale in a green can, and it very clearly states on the label, caramel color added. So there's nothing on here that says anything about coloring, or if they added color, you would have to state it, color added. It doesn't say it.
Mine just says contains malted barley and wheat.
Oh, wheat. Maybe the wheat is the grain then, not corn. Okay, that makes sense. It does have a wheaty flavor.
This
very bready.
Says pressured widget. Do not tamper with even when enter.
No. I find this beer has. It certainly does have a honey malt flavor, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've had it on tap in America.
No.
I have. Now, a lot of people will say, why have this beer? I mean, there's so many great beers. But they've got to remember, all these great beers started somewhere.
Yeah. It was one of the first beers to have the widget can 22 years ago, 1992. I know it was started by a couple of fellows, and then there was a repairman who worked for them named Boddington, and he became so prominent in the brewery that he ended up taking over the brewery. And in the 1880s...
Even though InBev bought the recipe, they still use the recipe because I mean, like Foster's and that stuff like that, you can drink it wherever you want, and it'll always taste exactly the same.
So when you had it in America, did it taste the same as England?
No, I've never drank this in America because when you're in America, you drink everything American. And
oh, right. You don't want to... Oh, right. I see what you're saying, yeah. It would be like if I went to England, I wouldn't be reaching for Budweiser. I would try all the English beers, yeah.
Yeah. And I've been to Manchester. I've had this on tap, and it may not be the mega beers that we have today, but it's calm, cool, nice, creamy texture.
Yeah. Has a nice creamy texture. There's a noticeable hop bitterness, but it's not harsh or abrasive. It's a mellow, yet noticeable hop.
And if you ask a lot of beer drinkers don't like that harshness, that bitterness.
Yeah, including my own daughter. Now, Maria Devon, the girl next door, and myself, we reviewed this beer months and months ago, and she didn't care for it too much. She found it was a little dull, but
yeah, but
I think I appreciate the low-profile presentation of Boddington's. What were you going to say?
That's what I was about to say. It's not supposed to be an high-profile beer. It's supposed to be a low-profile beer that appeals to everybody. Now, a lot of people compare this because they like their big hoppy beers. And this isn't a big hoppy beer. Well, it's not supposed to be a big hoppy beer. It's supposed to be a low hoppy beer, suitable for early ale drinkers.
Now, Stuart, what type of beer is this supposed to be? An ESB?
Well, an ESB normally stands for like extra special bitter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Well, they usually have a caramel color like this, and they usually have a noticeable but mild hop bitterness.
Well, they're normally heavier in malted backbone, Whereas
Okay.
this is not. So I'm assuming it's just a bitter.
Oh, a bitter, not an ESB, just an English bitter. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Gotcha.
Do you get a lot of English bitters over in America?
Not really. No. We get John Smith's ale. We get Abbott ale. From Abbott ale comes from Green King.
Yeah.
Hen's Tooth. Or what's the bitter? Golden Hen or Hen's Tooth? I don't know. But yeah, we get a few English beers, ales. We get Fuller's, but that I don't know if they make just a regular bitter.
Now,
maybe London Pride.
We're both eating while I was drinking this. Mm-hmm. So this perfect time, is it pairing well with the spicy chicken?
Yes, I think a beer like this is good for food because it doesn't have such an overwhelming flavor that it interferes with the flavor of the food. I wouldn't want to drink a West Coast IPA with my dinner because the strength of the beer would be so strong that it would start to detract from the food. That's why I don't like to drink wheat ales with food because that banana flavor seems to interfere
with the food.
Yeah.
Whereas we're drinking the Boddingtons now, and it's pairing well with the noodles that I'm eating, the sausages. It's keeping the flavor profile of the food and the beer in like balance.
Yeah. Now, for something spicy like this chicken, which is pretty well spiced, and I'm gonna have to blow my nose, I think what would be even better than Boddington's would be something like Carling Lager.
Yeah.
Something really thirst quenching. You know, a lager really does cut the heat.
And a lot of people do that. I mean, if you go to the Indian places over here or the spicy curry houses, it will actually serve up a lager because it pairs well with spicy food.
I was about to mention that if you go to India, which is known for very hot food, I would guess that 95% of the people would be drinking Kingfisher lager with the food. You know? Kingfisher. You remember the famous scene from Red Dwarf, right?
Oh, big fan of Red Dwarf.
Where they had the monster that was created out of chicken vindaloo.
Yeah. See, I grew up watching Red Dwarf.
It was a giant monster created out of chicken vindaloo, and they had no way to destroy the monster. But what's the long-haired guy's name?
Lister.
Lister.
And Cat.
Triton.
Yeah.
Rema.
Yeah.
Well, Lister figured he was in a bad situation and he was about to be killed. Then he noticed 2 cans of lager on the ground, and he said, of course, the only thing in the universe known to cut a chicken vindaloo lager. And he shook the 2 cans and he threw it at the monster, and the monster was destroyed. And that proved that lager will cut very spicy vindaloo.
Now,
if he'd have thrown ale at the creature, he may have been killed. Okay, go on.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I managed to buy this for 99 pence in the clearance section because it'd been broken from multi-pack.
Yeah.
But it's fairly cheap. I think it's on offer at the moment for $3.49 for 4 cans.
Yeah, it's more expensive here. It's more expensive here because we have to pay for the shipping, you know.
Yeah. I mean, how much is it retail for a can over there? For dollars?
One can might be $2.59. If you buy a 4-pack, and they don't sell it in 6-packs, but a 4-pack for about $6.99.
So that's about the same price as what we pay.
About $7 for a 4-pack, which means $3.50 for 2, which would be, about $1.75 per can. Yeah, it's not too expensive.
No.
similar to John Smith's ale. I got in a lot of trouble drinking John Smith's ale too, by the way.
Yeah, because a lot of the people that sat telling you off and all that stuff are people that actually drink real ale now and craft beer, and they seem to forget the past and that they once really enjoyed these kind of beers and lagers and stuff like that, and they forget all that they enjoyed it. But people like me and you who still go back to what we started drinking back in the early days, and we still appreciate all the hard work that these breweries put out there.
So those guys you're talking about, they used to enjoy John Smith's ale and Boddington's before they realized they weren't supposed to like it.
Yes. We mentioned it last week. It's basically the cool thing to say. But final thoughts?
Final thoughts, yes. Final thoughts are this. Hold on a second. I like to drink beers like this because it helps prove the theory that I work with. And the theory is this. It's a nice, pleasant beer, and if a person came to me and said, I don't really like Boddington's or Budweiser or John Smith's ale because, in my opinion, it's rather dull, I would say, yes, I can understand that, and I don't have a problem with it. But when someone comes to me and says, I am a very renowned beer drinker, I have been reviewing craft beer since 1999, and let me assure you, sir, that Boddington's is a horrible beer. It's objectively bad. Anyone who enjoys it is an obvious moron because it tastes like horse urine or whatever they'll say. Then I have a problem with that because they're having an extremist approach. And so a beer like Boddington's brings out the pretentiousness.
You have to question there. That is going to such an extent it's actually drank horse urine. So would you really trust the judgment of someone who drinks horse urine?
Right, but you know what I'm talking about. You've seen people use those descriptions.
But it's like we've mentioned that before.
Yeah, my opinion is I think it's a good.
They'd rather drink urine than beer.
Right, I wouldn't.
Well, I don't want to drink.
My opinion is that it's an enjoyable beer, and I have no problem with it. I don't see where there's a negative to it. I've drank it for years, for going on 20 years, and I haven't noticed any change in the flavor at all. I have to admit that.
No, I mean, we've paired it with food today, and it's paired really well with the spicy food at your end, and different spices on my end. And it's kept the flavour profile, it's paired well with food. And what other beer will still have a head? And it has no chemicals in it that we know.
It did retain a lot of lacing.
Yeah, that's the widget.
I'm glad that you mentioned the wheat, because I was wondering what the grains were. So you're saying wheat. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, I don't find it offensive. I haven't burst into flames from drinking this dead beer.
We may have no credibility, but at least we're having enjoyment, and that's what counts. Oh yeah, it smells good, tastes good, feels good, finishes good, feels good in the body. To me, it's all good and no bad. And when I have a beer that's all good and no bad, I have no issue with it, and I enjoy it, and I admire it.
Now, on to the other subject. Could you session this beer? I could. I have done.
4.6? Yeah, I think so. I wonder what the calorie count is, though it might be a little heavy. But I could drink 4 of these with absolutely no problem whatsoever. Now it says InBev UK Limited, Luton, England. I don't know where's Luton.
Somewhere in the UK.
Okay.
But it's been brewed in different places across Manchester since the early recipes. And if I was to compare this with other Manchester beers, some great Manchester beers. I mean, you get J.W. Lee's in America now. But I have no problem with this beer. I'd recommend it to people that are starting to drink real ales because it's not too bitter and it's not too sweet. It's just borderline lager drinker, ale drinker.
Yeah, I think it's a good gateway beer to people that want to try something a little more flavorful than a Carling or a Budweiser.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ronald Theriot from Louisiana Beer Reviews.
Thank you, and I want to thank you for inviting me, and I want to end this review by saying, y'all come on down to New Orleans.